This is about 18 months later. I haven't done anything with this lift. It's got a 4-cylinder Wisconsin gas motor in it. This is a Condor model 46N. It says it's only got 569 hours on it, but who knows if that's really right. But it could be, because you could work for a whole 8-hour day with this thing and probably only use a half an hour of time on it, because most of the time it's sitting doing nothing. I believe that's why they put gas motors in a lot of these lifts, because they're starting and stopping a lot, and a diesel motor is just harder to start. I got this in exchange for doing some work over at Andrew's castle on the roof. Being that I'm ready to start building upwards on my house, I figured I better start getting this working. I know I'm going to outgrow this thing because it's only 2-wheel drive, but if it can get me started, then I can sell my house and I can get something decent, but this will also be a backup when I have something better. It's been a while since I messed with this at all. The few problems that I had when I was working it last was that the basket doesn't stay upward. It kind of like sags down. The other problem that I had with it, last time I was working with it, it didn't want to respond to the controls on the basket sometimes, but it would still respond over here because you can select it from either ground or aerial. So I didn't even mess with it. I didn't even try to see what that was. It is extremely low on hydraulic fluid, so we'll see if that maybe is part of it. It also started pretty hard, and the battery is a 1.5 years older now, so I might have to replace that. So let me charge this up and see if it will even start. I did get it to start a lot easier, and I drove it over here. It does like to get stuck because it's only 2-wheel drive, but for right now we're gonna deal with that. I'm just gonna push it around with another machine if I need to. I'm gonna get a better boom lift soon here before this project is done, but right now I'm just gonna deal with this the way it is because I'm kind of waiting on some money right now. So the way that this works is when you raise this boom, there's another cylinder in there, and I don't know if you can really see it, but it's like right there, and that cylinder is basically the master cylinder. It's like a brake system, and that's the slave cylinder. So what it does is, as this is going up, it pulls the fluid into that cylinder, which in turn pulls that cylinder out. So as you're going up, it'll self-level the basket because it does that. So basically that's the slave cylinder and that's the master cylinder. And that master cylinder there is kind of like a pump, because as you're going down, it actually pushes that, and when you're going up, it pulls it. But you can also control that independently from the basket, but you can't control it from the ground controls. So on this system, you can have it on ground controls so that you can control it from here, but you can't control the basket. You can control a lot of the other stuff, but you can't drive it and you can't control the basket. And then on top of that, on top of the ground controls, there's also an emergency system that uses the battery, which there's a electric hydraulic pump right here to use for that. So like, let's say if the engine stops running, you can just turn on the key, put it on ground, and put an emergency system on, which turns on the pump, and then you can go like this. So it's a little bit slow, but in an emergency, in a pinch, that'll work really good. Like if you need to get down and the motor's not running, you could actually use this boom lift with just these functions. Alright, so this is really weird. The basket is not tipping. It's been tipping this whole time, and I don't know why it's not doing it now. So I was going to address that first, but I guess since it's working, I'm going to dive into the controls on the basket. To operate these 4 main controls, you got to pull up and then operate it. So this one seems to be working fine. When you go down, sometimes it doesn't work right now. Okay, now it works. This one is the turret swing, and that one doesn't work at all. It was working in one direction for a while, but it wouldn't go the other direction, but now it's not working at all. So the boom in and out, that I think that works. Oh, maybe not. Okay, it only goes out, it doesn't go in. And then this one is to drive it forward and reverse. That seems to be working. Haven't had any problems with that. So let's take this all apart and see what it's about. Yeah, there's definitely a bee's nest and mice nest in there. So I think the smartest thing to do here would be to take another one of these out and put it in here, and that would be the quickest, cheapest diagnostic. And that should very quickly tell me if it's in this mechanism or if it's in the wiring here. Okay, so we've totally eliminated anything in this mechanism here, so it's got to be beyond that point, which it could be some wiring issues in here, or it could be anything from there all the way back to the controls on the turret there. But because I'm really curious, I'm going to put this back together and put it in this slot here, and then see if that controls that fine. Then that way we can totally eliminate this, in case there's actually two problems with this situation. That way I know I can definitely eliminate this. That is interesting. I don't know why that's not reacting. that kind of means that we have two separate problems here. Okay, so that does something again. That's weird. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to change this one out. That's really kind of confusing because all these levers have the same model number printed on them. So I don't know why they don't work with any one of them. All of them are proportional modulating type. It's not just on or off. You can feather it. They have different color wires, so maybe they're wired different. I'm not sure. Maybe they are specific to that spot and they don't work anywhere else. So I also tried jiggling around the wires and stuff and I couldn't get anything different. So I'm thinking I'm gonna go into this box right here. I have the wiring diagram for this, but it's really hard to read. It's written, like handwritten, and it's not a very good copy. So let's just see if we can see something in here first. This is a note written in '84 that a wire was changed out. So this one's for the turret right here. Guess that's where we can start. I was hoping to come in here and find all kinds of rusty wires and maybe I could jiggle something around and it would work, but this is all very clean and there's no rust in here at all. This looks good. So I don't really know a whole lot about how these operate here. There's not a lot of moving parts on it, but I believe these are the switches to kick up the motor in a higher RPM. And basically that kind of clicks on and off. That's actually working, and I can hear it clicking on the lift itself. I don't think that's going to be the problem because it still should function even if it doesn't kick the RPMs up. So the only other thing that you can really even service on here, everything else, there's like some adjustments here, but unless they were touched, I don't know why you'd have to touch them again. And then there's a lot of things on this circuit board. I'm really not good with electronics like this. So, but I think that this is going to be our problem. If there's a problem in here at all, this is probably going to be our problem. So what I'm going to do is take this one out, and I got another one here. I'm going to take that one and put it in. I figure, what do I have to really lose? I've never really done anything like this. tested this potentiometer before I took it out of this assembly, but it was given an inconsistent reading because it had a bunch of this whatever silicone or whatever they have on there. It was covered in it, so it was hard to get a good connection. So now that this is outside of the assembly and all that silicone is burnt off, I'm going to test this again before I really go any further. See, it was just giving me a problem, but now it's working fine. But that wouldn't explain it, because it wasn't working intermittently. It was not working at all. This one's getting 600 ohms between the two outside terminals. This one is not. Well, I guess it's getting 1,000. Huh. This one's only getting 600. I thought around 500 between the two outside leads is what you need, so I don't know, maybe that is the problem. I want to get this thing running a lot better. It was running better when I got it, and it's slowly been getting worse and worse. It just doesn't want to run right. Like, I think something's wrong with the spark, because as soon as you give it a bunch of gas, when that solenoid does kick in, it kind of goes full throttle. It just kind of falls flat on its face. I guess it could be in the regulator here, but one thing I wanted to check, and I don't know how to test these, I'm sure I could find out, but I don't have a lot of patience for gas motors, so I'm going to try putting a new coil in. That's kind of what I do with gas engines. I just throw parts at them. And it was only like $30 for that coil, so why not? So let's try it without starting fluid. I know it takes longer to crank because the regulator's got to turn on and then the propane's got to get around into the carburetor. So let's keep trying it. just seems like no matter what I do, as soon as that solenoid shuts off, it just dies right out. And then it takes a while to restart. And also, it's not retracting the boom. It goes out, but it's really slow. And it doesn't want to go in. But luckily for right now, I can use this. Actually, I can even use it when the motor's off. And just hit this. And then this. Now it goes in. But it won't let you go out as an emergency. It only lets you go in and down. That's just using that electric over hydraulic pump. But at this point, I really think that the reason that this is not running right is because of the regulator. So I did order a new regulator. I was going to rebuild it, but it was so hard to find the parts for that other one that I just bought like an updated version of this one. If I had the updated version, I could have bought seals easily for it, and they may even interchange, but I wasn't sure. So I just went ahead and got a new regulator. So let's put that one in and see if this will run right. Also, as far as the controllers, I just went ahead and got 2 new ones here. I sent the old ones out to get rebuilt, and the place, I guess, just had a fire. So I sent them out, and it was like 3 weeks went by, and I heard nothing. And then I called them, and they said they need another like 3 weeks to get them fixed. So I was like, nah, just send them back to me, and I'll just buy new ones. So these ones are brand new here. They were $600 a piece. That's why I didn't get them at the beginning. I was trying to get them rebuilt because it was going to be cheaper, but I just can't really wait that long. I just went ahead and ordered these. They came within like 2 days, and they work. So I'm glad to see that, because that was quite the investment. after trying to start it a bunch of times, I put some starting fluid in it. It immediately started up, and then since then, it's been starting up good every time. So I think we fixed it. Let me show you. The other thing it was doing before, when you hit one of these controls, it revs the motor up so it doesn't stall out, gives it more power. But it was spitting and sputtering every time you did it. It would eventually catch up and it would high idle from a low idle, but it would take a while to get there. Now, no hesitation whatsoever. So this thing's running really good now. Shouldn't be any problems with this. So normally I try to go a little bit further on these older machines and fix them up a little bit better than I've been doing in the last few videos. But I think most of you understand that I have a roof to put on here, and until I do that, everything else is kind of less important. This is good for up to 310 pounds. You can see how this thing is made. Basically, it's like a one-time use. If you fall, it'll unbunch this whole thing, which provides it with some shock resistance. Wearing a full harness too. I'm trying to be as safe as possible up here. Most guys around here though, they don't wear safety harnesses for anything like this. For some reason I lost the footage, but there was a wire inside of this box that was loose. It was actually broken. And that was the reason why I couldn't actually use this button right here to swing left and right with the turret. That wire was needed for both this emergency feature as well as the regular swing for it. So that's why I had double trouble. I had a problem with the joystick as well as that wire, which is why I couldn't swap one from here to there and make it work. And then I also couldn't take this joystick and put it in here because that joystick didn't work either. Those are the things you got to watch out for, because a lot of times you assume something and then you go and buy some parts or something and then you realize that that wasn't needed. In this case, luckily it was needed. But I probably should have been investigating it a little bit more. Really didn't want to spend too much time on this machine, especially knowing I'm getting another one immediately after this. This machine, if it's at a slight angle, it'll just shut down and it won't even let you use the boom. It'll only let you use the emergency feature and go straight down with it. That's it. But it is what it is. We're going to get it done, and I'll see you guys on those videos.